Okay, it is now July 17th or so, and today we're going to be making
Pickles!
pickles, something that I don't eat. So what she's decided to do is to take this set of pickles,
Cucumbers,
and spear them, and this set we're going to make like hamburger slices, chips. So she's getting ready to get started.
doing this.
And here's your chef. Smile.
I don't want to see
Okay. So what are we doing?
Alright, so when you get some bigger cucumbers like this, instead of blindly just thinking, oh, I'm going to cut it there, it's best to cut off the ends and then measure it with your jar. You want it to come to about at the lip right there. So basically, one this size will be enough for, I can get 2 spear sets out of there. So, and I mark it with a knife, cut that end off, goes in the compost. Find my mark. Cut it, and then you just cut it into spears. I cut it in half. I cut it in half. And I cut it in half.
Yes.
This one's almost too big because it's gumpy. So sometimes you can shove a lot into these jars because they will shrink up as they ferment. And what I do is that half I put them in, and then you just have to play Tetris with them and get them in there and just squeeze them in tight. Yeah, that one's stuck in there. Keep going on that side. So out of 1 cucumber I will get 2 jars of spears. So let me do that one real quick.
Then basically it's rinse and repeat until you get all of the jars filled. And then when I come back, we're going to show her making her cheater sauce for the
brine.
The brine for the jars. So I'm going to cut out here. We'll be back in a sec. Okay, she's threatened me with a knife again. This is how she does her chips section of it. She just slices them up.
I try to do some thick, some thin, because you never know. Some people like real thin ones, some people like thick ones. But I get it all cut up. Since we've got 4 types of cucumbers, I like to get everything cut up, and then I just mix them in while I do them in the jars. This was left over from the spears. So the ends that you cut off from the spears to mix it into the spear, we call my chip bucket. That's what I use for fillers. Since most of these are all stunted and heat, growth, that just messed it up. They're ugly, and I just use them for chips. Pickle chips, yummy. Mark hates, Kayla likes, Mommy likes, Aunt Ruru likes.
Are you done with the bashing?
Yeah, but you're a man. What do you expect? Oh, look, some people, there's going to be some white cucumber finally into the pickles.
Alright.
Mark has guarded those.
Like I said, next step will be the brine. So we're just cutting these up right now. And we're pre-filling all of these with the chips and the spears. Next step will be brine. Hold on.
I'm going to make sure.
Okay, one thing we forgot to talk about before we started throwing them in the jars is we put the pickle crisp granules in the bottom of each of the jars to help keep it nice and crisp while it's cooking.
We also add it to the peppers too.
Yes, we do that to peppers too. Alright, what Sherry's doing right now is she's getting her hot water bath started. It's over there in the big one. That's just a bunch of water. There's nothing else in it. She's making her the sauce, the brine to put in it. That's after everything's thrown in there. It's got about, oh, stinky. It's got 7 1/3 cups of vinegar. No.
Yeah, put in
No.
14 cups of
Let
water.
me read it off the packet. It's got 3 1/3 cups of vinegar, 7 1/3 cups of water, and you get throw dill in there and other things. We've made a double batch, so everything's doubled. And this is what we're using for the yellow mixture, I guess it would be.
Well,
So
the yellow is it's cumin and mustard seed, but I like using that because I don't put too much of one spice in it. It's, you know, I get heavy-handed on certain things.
yep. Other things that you can throw in the pickle jars themselves is dill, and we use garlic cloves. After we put all the pickles in, first we started with the crisps. Then we put the pickles in, and then we put, let me see if I can focus on that, some of the mixed pickling spice on top of it. And then we put the spears in, we put the crisps in, so they're ready to go. They're primed and ready for the pickling sauce as soon as she's done with it. The other thing that we have going right now is we're starting to warm up the lids for the actual water.
These will go back in the oven because you don't want to put these into the hot water.
Right.
Cold.
You do not want to put mason jars into the water bath while they're cold, so these are heated up and they'll be continuing to stay warm by sitting in the oven.
Until I put the brine, and then as soon as I get the brine in, I get the lids on. But I can only fit 7 in my container because I don't want to run both my canning things right now. And as soon as we put them in, and then they'll go for, I like to put them in for 15 minutes to make sure they're there. Some
Okay.
say 10, some say 12. I like to do 15.
All right. So the next step after this is actually putting the brine into it, and then putting the lids on top of it, prepping it for the water bath. So we'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, Sherry's boiled the brine out. It's getting ready to pour it in. So what we do, she's got to find her scoop. She takes a scoop of brine,
Stir it up.
make sure it's nice and stirred, and then fills up the jar to about a 1/2 inch from the top. And she's watching it on the side. Now the other thing that we're going to do is take a little poker stick
Or pound them.
and pound them down. So that's one she just filled. We're trying to get as much of the air out as possible.
Without poofing it out.
Yep. So she's going to get fill these all up. We're trying to get as much air out as possible. That one might be a little overfilled.
Yeah.
Then after this, what we do is we wipe the tops of each one of these, and then we put on the caps. And in our water bath, we can fit between 6 and 7, depending on size, in the water bath. So what we'll do is put them in the water bath, bring it up to a boil, let it sit for 10 minutes in the boil.
I do 10 to 15.
10
well,
to-
I boil it for 10 to 12, and then I let it sit after I turn it off.
Right. And then we take them out and let them cool down. Now, before she started all this, all these glasses are warm, if not hot, so that when they actually go in the boiling water bath,
Well,
the glass doesn't break.
It's not boiling when you first put it in. You don't want it boiling. You want to bring it up to a boil. So it's very hot water. It's not boiling.
Right.
But you don't start the timing until it's a rolling boil.
Right. So the hot water bath currently is not boiling. We put the jars in, then bring it up to a boil, and then once it's doing a rolling boil, we put a timer on for about 10 minutes to 12 minutes, depending. And then after it's done those 10 minutes, we get it off the heat, let it cool down. Then once the jars are out, we wipe them down and put them up.
Well, they have to, and then you pickles these. You're gonna want to let them sit for a month before you open them.
For pickles, you have to let them ferment in their broth for about a month before you can eat them. Other things you have to wait a couple of weeks. It just depends on what it is. And some things you don't even have to can it. You just start eating it.
Well,
like salsa and things like that.
But if you do can, you won't. Like salsa, after you can it, you want to wait at least 24 hours. Paper towels.
I don't know where you threw them this time. She's looking for paper towels to wipe down the tops.
Just that way, make sure it's dry. That way you get a proper seal.
Right. Yeah, we're cleaning them just to make sure that we get a proper seal with the juice. With the lids.
Before I wipe, I need to tap.
All right. So she's trying to make sure all the water's down as deep as it can.
There's some air bubbles coming up on that one.
Yeah. So then she'll put the lid on, put it in the bath. So that's how we pickle them. And that's about all there is to it, really. All right, we're going to record some. Sorry, I forgot to mention a couple of things. She's wiping them down before she puts them in the water bath. This is in case your hands had anything on them. The thing that we forgot to mention is all this extra pickling juice
can be saved in the refrigerator, and you can make cold pickles, refrigerator pickles with it. But I save in it because I'm going to use it when I have extra cucumbers again. That way I'll have it to make 1 or 2 jars at a time. That way I don't have to wait for all those cucumbers. And then also I'm making a new type of pickle this year with this. Oh, I'm missing a top, honey.
Here it is.
Oh, okay. And also make sure once you got the lid on, you're going to make sure they're tight, because if you make sure if it's not tight, it could come undone in the thing. So you can always save your pickle juice, and then there. Mine only holds so many at a time. These guys will be the first. 2, 4, 6, 7. 2, 4, 6, 6. Yeah. And then these guys will be kept in my oven warm, not at 200, but warm temp. And so slowly in, turn on to high, and they'll be in. And you're going to make sure it's 1 inch to 1.5 inches above the cans, because the water will disappurate, and it brings up to a boil. You see, it's almost already there. So once it's a rolling boil, then you'll go ahead and do your timer. Okay, let me get these.
We're back again. Sherry's just removing them after they've...
You want to tilt them a bit so the hot water doesn't get on you. I like to have a towel down and then these heat mats, because these are very hot and they can ruin your surfaces. And it helps too if you have a fan going and blowing, because it gets very hot. I don't know about you all where you live, but
There's the fan.
There's a fan. But in Ohio Valley, humidity sucks, even with AC. So once I pull them out real quick, I have a slightly damp towel, because I also have very hard water, and it builds up. Yeah, I know I could use distilled water, but it's...
I don't know if you could see at the top of this one here, but do you see the white?
That's the hard.
That's the water. So after we get done with them, we do wipe them down 3-4 times
to get the hard water.
to get most of that junk off the top of it. But it's just because of the hard water that we have here.
And anytime, and I don't use it for cookies, if y'all are wondering. I use bottled water.
Yes, we use bottled water for most things here where we live.
Because of Charlestown. It's just as bad. It used to be just as bad as Flint. But not anymore. It's getting better. So, you let these cool until you can touch. And then I take, like, cleaning wipes and I wipe them all down, and then I set them off to the side and let them sit for 24 hours, and then I put them in a cold, dark room. Make sure it's cool though, because anytime you're canning doesn't matter if it's vegetables or fruit, you want to store in a very dry, cool, dark atmosphere. That way it doesn't spoil, because if you get a lot of sunlight or regular light, a lot of light, it will spoil. It could spoil it quicker. So, but these will last over a year if they're kept in the right temperatures. But when I give it away as gifts, they don't last 6 months after I give them to them.
Now the other thing is we have to wait for at least a month after we've pickled these so that they'll ferment, preserve properly.
And then also, in the next maybe 5 minutes to an hour to up to 3 hours, you'll hear popping sounds.
Yes, and what that is just confirming that they've been pressurized properly. So. And
if you don't, if your cans don't pop, actually right now they've
already popped.
They've already popped. That's why I like to go an extra minute to 2 minutes, but. If your cans do not pop and your lids are still poofy, that means you did something wrong.
Yeah, you didn't get a good seal with the lid. That's what you're trying to do, is get a nice seal, because with these lids, they got a little ring around the outside to make sure it mates with the jar properly. So that's where you get that popping sound from.
All right, these lids are clean. Now I just got to let them sit until I can actually pick them up.